Hello, my loves. Okay, let me find my live. There it is. Let's see if I can pin this. There we go. So it should show me on my phone who shared. That way I actually know if you did share. And it will only show me if you share publicly. FYI, that's why it says publicly. So I'm going to do something I have not done in a very long time. I used to do this all the time back in the day, but I'm going to do free readings. For those of you who are brand new to me, hi, I'm Johanna Burkhardt. I am a multidimensional channel teacher and healer. Um, and I'm really here to help you manage your energy and create your desired reality. And we do that through learning how to shift through the stages of awakening, how to shift our energy, how to just be able to transition without it being such a harsh and abrupt experience, which is a learning experience. That's how I did it. I've learned through massive and hard knock trial and error. So that means I'm an energy reader. Just to bring it down to the simplest terms, I'm an energy reader, and my words are light encoded. So when I do a reading, I'm always also transmitting a frequency that helps you find where this energy lives within your being. So I read your energy and bring forth what is most important for you to know at this time, or just I'm going to ask you to give me a question or a topic that you want guidance around, but know that there's probably going to be more that comes through than that. Okay. So if you would like a reading, please share publicly, comment that you shared, and ask your question or what you want guidance around. The light is going to be really weird for a little bit, and I apologize for that, but it is what it is. You got to roll with where I am. So we're going to talk about something as we're waiting for people to get on and to start sharing out the broadcast. Collectively, today is 12/12. It's in the collective, a lot of people believe it to be a portal. I used to be one of those people. Um, as we become more aware and expand our consciousness, we start to see things a little bit differently. And this energy is still a legit energy, mainly because of group consciousness. So we have our own individual consciousness, and then we have a group consciousness. And whatever the majority or the collective gives the most power to is what's really going to be. That's why the world is the way that it is. It's why we see things the way that we see things, because there's still a majority believing that this is the highest and best experience for us to have. And that goes for everything, right? Not just 12/12 or synchronistic portal dates or um, Lions Gate or the presidency or the state of the world affairs. It's all inclusive here. So, what we experience collectively will always be what the majority is deeming their highest and best experience at that time. And we hold the power always. And it's really important for you guys to know that we hold the power always. And at any moment, we can choose differently and completely shift our trajectory of what it is that we want to experience or what we could experience. And when we had one of these in September of this year, and I went live and talked about it. We had this massive timeline collapse or convergence where a whole bunch of energy just collapsed onto itself, and we shifted into a whole new timeline and experience. And that was because we had a majority of the collective come together and say, I want to experience something differently. I don't want to play this game anymore. I don't want to do this one thing anymore. And when that happens, massive things are able to happen. So I always say, if you don't like the world that you see, you're in charge of that. And you think, oh, I'm just one person. But what you do behind closed doors, and I say this all the time because it's really, really important to drive this home. What you do behind closed doors when no one's looking and when no one's seeing is your contribution to this collective energy. So be the change always, even if nobody's watching. You shouldn't need somebody to hold you accountable to be a good person or to be who you really want to be. So if you don't like what you see, you're the only one that can change it. And that change starts with you. And if we all did that, think of the impact we would have and think of how different our world would be. I have not done an energy update in 2 months, and I just have not felt aligned to do that. As a lot of you know, I'm going through one of the largest evolutions I've ever gone through, and it has been extremely challenging. And I have needed to use my resources to really do my work that I preach and I teach. I'm still doing it, I'm no different than you. And so I'm doing that. And that has taken a lot of my energy. But I will say this about December, and I did mention it in a written update. December, and it's not just December, by the way. This energy will be fluid, meaning if you need 3 months to purge, it's going to take 3 months for you. If you need 6 months, it's going to take six months for you. If you can do it in just the month of December, then it will be just the month of December for you. But December marks the start of a massive purge of our internal circulatory systems. And so we are moving through and I've talked about this several times over the last few months, but this is a part of the collective physical awakening where we are literally digging deep and clearing stuff inside of our being, clearing beliefs, clearing ancestral trauma, clearing things, clearing matter, right? That's density in our body. We're clearing that. And so it's an opportunity. It doesn't mean if you're just doing whatever that it's just going to happen for you, right? It's not. It's a conscious thing. So it's an opportunity for you to become aware of whatever's coming up for you in the now moment and to be with it, to feel it, to accept it. And that is all that you really have to do. That's why I created the purification process, because it's very simple, can be done in your everyday life, and you don't have to stop and do all this massive work. We only have to heal in that moment in time. When it's coming up, it's the most potent. So whatever your body is needing, and this will be sometimes a little bit more of a physical experience. But this marks the beginning of the greatest shift we will ever know. And we won't consider that as we're going through it, but our children and us as older, in 10, 15 years are going to look back at this and see this and I get chills and a little choked up just thinking about it. Will be known as the greatest shift in humanity, and we got to witness it. We got to be a part of it. We were the generation that made that shift. That is so powerful. And I hope you can feel that energy that comes across with that. So what we're about to embark on is one of the biggest shifts that will be the turning point in all of humanity. And again, when you're losing the weight or when you're building the business or when the thing is happening, you don't always see the progress in the moment because you're in it every single day. But it's when you look back you're going to see. So do the work. Live as if you were in hindsight going, how did I want to be? How did I want to experience? How do I want to respond? How do I want to look back and see how I did things? That is what you really got to be focused on. Okay. Okay, let me see if and here's the other thing. If your name, your if you're it says Sarah Paul. If that's not your real name, I need you to put your real first and last name in the comments so I can communicate to you. And you're on YouTube, so I'm gonna have to take your word for it because I can't really see it. Mhm. So Sarah, is that your real name? Is it Sarah? How do you do it? It is your real. Okay. I've never seen Sarah spelled that way. That's interesting. Soraya. Oh, Soraya. I like that. That's beautiful. Awesome. Okay. Okay, I got to clear for you. um, I don't know what it is you're not speaking, Soraya. Well, I don't know what it is that you're not speaking, but your throat chakra is like bulging, bulging. Like you need to just there is something that you need to speak. There is something that you need to speak. You need to get it out. And it's really important that you do because, and let me be clear with this because I know what you mean when you ask what your purpose is. But it's not what it means. And I always have to do this. Sorry. Your purpose is what you're here to learn. And your mission is what you are here to do to be of service if you choose to step into it. Now, remember, we don't always have to do that. We don't always have to step into service. It is a choice that we make, and our guides will push us towards that because, of course, they want what's best. They want the evolution of this planet and our souls, okay? But they're usually connected in some way. So when you start to speak your truth, and your truth doesn't come from a wounded place. Let's be clear about that. It doesn't come from a wounded place. Your truth comes from an empowered place. It comes from a place of boundaries. And boundaries are your worth, like what you tolerate, what you won't tolerate. It is what your values are, what your virtues are, the things that you live your life by that define who you are. Boundaries are not a fence, they're not for anybody else. They are a definition of who you are. So when you start speaking your truth from an empowered place, from a space of this is who I am and this is what I will tolerate and I don't need anybody else to interfere or I'm not going to people please and I'm not going to change who I am to fit your needs or to like you or to be loved by you. When you start to speak your truth and say, no, that is unacceptable. I don't allow myself to be treated this way, that type of energy, you're really going to start to open this throat up. So that's part of your purpose. That's what you're here to learn, right? Is to boundaries, holding true expression, emotional intelligence, really owning your power. But this is going to open up your channel because you are a channel. And so this can come through many ways, right? We can channel energy, we can be a divine messenger, we can and channel messages, we can channel energy, and we can infuse that into books, into art, into music, into gardening, into cooking. So you are a channel, and it isn't just of one certain thing or another, but I feel like you already get messages and like claircognizant knowings, but you really doubt yourself and you kind of have a little bit of imposter syndrome of who am I? Am I good enough? You're comparing yourself to other people that you watch online. Listen, nobody's better or less than anybody else. Yes, we are all special and we are all unique and we all have our own ticks and things. So every single one of us is special and unique. That should give a weight off of your shoulders because it means that there is something special about the way that you will bring the message through that is unique to you and only you, right? So when we try to make ourselves vanilla and bland and say, oh, I'm that too, and I'm that too, you are and you're not, right? Own your uniqueness, own your specialness. If there's something that only you can do, then only you can do it. And a lot of people think that that's narcissistic or big ego. It's not. If you didn't have something that only was unique to your signature, we would all be the same. Okay. So don't listen to that. Those are people who feel, um, that have their own insecurities. So you're a channel, and you're really going to start to really step into that when you start speaking your truth. So I hope that that resonates for you. Your mom said that the name just came to her while she was pregnant. Oh, that's so cool. I really like that name. I've seen your name come up 100 times, but I didn't know how to say it. And as someone who gets her name butchered all the time, I hate butchering names. Lee Parker, or is it Lee or Leah? Oh shit. I forgot I had make. I don't wear makeup a lot anymore. I'm out here rubbing it off. Did you share, honey? It's hard to tell on YouTube. If you shared, let me know. Hi, Meredith. Yes, I'm back. I'm going to be online a lot more the rest of this month. Oh, we got inbox me for. No, you need to go away and we need to block this user. Oh, thank you. Oh, it is Lee. You can share anywhere. Okay. All right. Let's go to Lee. And I can scroll my comments, so I will get to as many as I can today, so just be patient with me. All right. Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. And yes, I do know that I receive messages. I've been trying to pay more attention to the little voice. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes, remember, it's a subtle voice. The subtle, quiet voice inside of us is the largest part of ourself. The loudest voice inside of us is the small aspects of self known as the ego and the inner child collectives. So if it's really loud, it is not higher guidance. If it's subtle and usually the first thing that comes to you, it is always going to be that higher intuitive information. Okay. Lee Parker. I guess I'm going to be clearing for everybody today. Okay. Whew. Lee, your sacral is wound so tight, so tight. And I also felt energy in your throat, but it wasn't up here bulging in your throat. It was lower in your throat and it was very much repressed. Um, I don't know you personally, so I'm going to just say what I feel and hope that you could make sense of it because this message, obviously this is energy is for you. I don't know what's happened in your past love life. I don't know what's happened in your past, even as a childhood. I definitely feel like there is is what we would call father wounds or daddy issues. I don't know if you didn't have. It doesn't mean that your father was abusive or abandoned you or neglected you, and he could have done all of those things, but it doesn't always mean that. I had a wonderful father, and he was my everything, but he was emotionally unavailable to me, right? He emotionally abandoned me, and it caused major daddy issues in my life. So I feel like there's something that stems from that, but there's also a generational piece that has come down your line, your bloodline. Um, And so there's something there for you to dive into where you can look back at the patterns in your life. First, starting with the patterns in your life, right? Patterns in your relationships. So, what are the main themes in your relationships? What are the main things you were attracted to them for? And what were the lessons that you learned? Like, what always happened, right? So, this is one of those things that really was that spirit brought through that really changed things for me and allowed me to actually leave my marriage because I was like, I finally saw the pattern that I kept repeating and the things I kept being attracted to and the energies that were the same and it really seeing that this theme went all the way back. There was a theme that ran all the way through childhood of things I did. So even though I was looking at my romantic relationships, the same energy existed in my relationship with my father and other people in my life all the way back to as early as I could remember. And that's really the only time going back is useful is because it allows us to see the patterns so that we can break the patterns, we can break the cycle. So there's going to be golden nuggets for you if you can do that. But I also feel like there's this interesting dynamic that's showing up that there's definitely some type of emotional thing that happened with your father that is playing out in your relationships today or has played out, but there's also something from in your mother's line. So if you can also look back at at your mother and your grandmother and your mother's mother, if you're able to and know enough information, and really kind of see that those same cycles and patterns, now they're going to look different, right? The circumstances are going to be different. The people are going to be different, but the energy is going to be the same, right? We always have to come back to energy. Everything's always trying to come into reconciliation as homeostasis. And so this continues through lineage and lineage and lineage until someone has the courage to do the hard work to break it. And it is hard, right? I don't like to use that word. I use it loosely because I think not everything has to be hard, but it is. And the reason why it is because we have to stop, we have to break the energy, and we have to start creating a new pattern of energy that takes time to build momentum. And so that's why when we try something new, we're like, oh my God, this is so hard or this is so difficult. And so we quit or we don't do it, or we give up too soon because the negative thing or the other thing manifests so much quicker than the new way of being and the new state of thing. So, but it's because the energy has to build momentum going in the other direction, right? It was going this way so fluidly for hundreds of years, and now all of a sudden you broke it. So now it's got to go the other way. So they really want to bring that through because there's this juiciness that you are going to find. And it's going to be one of those light bulb moments, and you're going to be like, oh my God. And you're going to have to kind of go through a grieving process because once you see that, we have a tendency as humans to beat ourselves up because we judge our yesterday based on today, which is completely unfair because the decisions you made yesterday were what you thought were perfect for you at the time. So you have to go through a little bit of that process. The person that's coming for you, that I feel that the potential is there for you. Remember, we all have 7 soulmates, and soulmates aren't always romantic relationships either. It's very important to register. But I do see a relationship coming for you, but there's some work that you need to do because again, it's almost like you don't believe that it it's almost like you have this idea in your mind and it's not everything is not always fitting right, like it's not meeting your expectations or it's not playing out that certain way, and it's kind of setting that down and just being open, um, to getting to know somebody in a different way. They're saying in a different way, like you can't go and look at the same relationships and people the same way you always have. Like you have to approach it differently. But there is somebody coming. The other thing that they're saying is you need to get really clear on what it is that you want. And we want to bring it down to the energy that you're seeking. What is it, the energy that you want? Because it's really hard for you to recognize the healthy relationship because, again, you haven't really seen all of the patterns and energies that have been repeating through relationships your entire life. So we really want you to get clear on the energy that you are seeking in a person. And then we want you to look at yourself and say, do I possess those things inside of me? And you don't have to be, let me be very clear about this. You don't have to be mastered or embodied in these energies, but you do have to be practicing them. You have to be willing to be and do and provide those things for you, the energies that you're seeking. So if you're seeking somebody that feels safe, if you're seeking somebody that is accepting, if you're seeking somebody that loves you unconditionally, if you're seeking someone that communicates well, if you're seeking someone um, that says means what they say and puts effort in, you have to be actively practicing all of those things for yourself, so that you can set the standard, because we teach other people how to treat us by how we treat ourselves. So you are always setting the standard, right? And so again, don't think that this means that you have to be 100% and mastered in this. You don't. You just have to be doing the work of practicing it and not seeking fulfillment outside of you, but willing to fulfill those things within you. And so that's why your love life has been a little bit of a struggle, because I feel like you have been trying to fill those holes within you, those heartaches, those empty wells, by by someone else. And God, wouldn't that just be easier, right? But we have to be the one who's like, hey, I'm okay to do this on my own. And that way, when someone comes along, it's never a codependent thing where they need you or you need them and you need to fill each other's cups. You will do that naturally. And someone will always, you will always have that opportunity where someone may need a little bit more help or a little bit more love one day or another. You're always going to have that, right? That reciprocity in relationships, that balancing. But the goal of a healthy relationship is that you're both doing the work and that you're both being your best self, so when you come together, it's magnified. It's something that you choose that expands both of you. When it's codependent or filling a need, it becomes a heavy weight, and then the relationship becomes toxic very quickly. Mm. I never had a father. It was only my mother, and she is emotionally unavailable herself. Thank you so much for your words. It's very intimidating. It is. And so the fact that, right, that's an abandonment wound right there, not having a father. And so there's probably also a part of you, um, when you're seeking validation, when we're abandoned by as someone who has this wound, I can just speak this way. When we're abandoned by a parent, whether it's physically or emotionally, it creates a scar and a program so deep. Now, remember, there's a difference between a program that was created in the first 7 years of your life. That is when your root chakra is developed. That is your bones. That is the structure of you. It is a program. It is part of the mainframe, and a belief. Those are two different things. So the abandonment wound is a program, and that's why that wound is so effing deep. And so when we have that by a parent, it is that inner child that, again, 7 and younger, that is constantly seeking to bring that energy into reconciliation of why, why wouldn't you choose me? What was wrong with me? Why wasn't I enough? Why wasn't I worthy to be chosen or loved by you? And so you unconsciously, right? And then eventually you become kind of aware and it becomes subconsciously seek that in relationships, because your inner child is ruling you. Your inner child is saying, this is what we want, because we're constantly trying to bring this into reconciliation. So you have to start to reconcile that wound within you. And that's that work that we were talking about, right? Really just being willing to fill that hole, to know that you are enough, and to have your worth, and that his choice, right, or even your mother's choice to be emotionally unavailable, right, has nothing to do with you. And it's really hard for us and our inner children inside of us to wrap our brains around that, right, to our on a logical sense. But it's just to know that that is their own wounding being projected onto you because again, they're hurt and we're always just doing the damn best we can at any given moment. And that was the best that they could do, right? And so it's just that reminder to your inner child that, hey, I'm going to love you now. I accept you. I choose you. The way you heal an abandoned wound, I can tell you this because I've been healing this wound consciously for a couple of years now. The only way to heal an abandonment wound is to not abandon you. So you can't people please anymore. You have to have ironclad boundaries. It's not about being passive aggressive. It's about really standing in the solidarity of who you are and what that you will no longer tolerate anything less than that because you believe so much in who you are and your value. And that's where the true work. So when you start doing that work, you won't be complete in this, by the way. They're very clear with me here. You will not be on the other side of this. You will be halfway through this transition of really doing that work. And someone's going to come along and you're going to think you're not ready for them because you haven't done enough work or you still feel a little bit uneasy or some of those wounds are still going to come up. That's going to happen. It's like a test, right? It's not a test, but it's a test because it's saying, are you going to believe that you're worthy of this relationship? Are you going to, do you believe that you'll be able to stand in the solidarity of who you truly are, AKA boundaries, and not lose yourself to that person? And you lose them because you either A, don't think you're worthy of them and you need to change who you are, or you need to change them, right? Or they need to be different. They need to prove. So it's often when we make a man or a woman prove that they love us, right? That they have to be different for us, that they lose themselves. And then when they change, we don't think that we are worthy enough for them now. So then we end up losing ourselves. This is how this works. So when you stop losing yourself and you start choosing yourself, you will heal the abandonment wound. Oh, it's the biggest father wound of all, honey. It's the biggest one of all. Leave it to doing free readings to always have them come out. Okay. So I hope that resonated for you. Let's see. Brandon Sutton. Last week I was having trouble with fully processing things physically and ended up getting a colonoscopy. And the only thing they found and removed was a very small benign polyp. Something in the clean out helped, but I still feel something in the lower left quadrant and I'm not sure what's going on. Well, so here's an interesting thing. Just we can use this as a teaching moment. Um, the colon is the passage of letting go, of releasing. And when we have polyps or tumors or tears in our, anything, any kind of things like that in our colon, it shows, especially polyps and those types of things, it shows where there's an attachment, right? So whenever we have, and this is important to remember, you guys, there's always, and this was represented in the stages of an awakening. So the first stage of awakening is always the conscious knowing, the awareness, the seeing of the belief or becoming aware of the thing, right? Becoming aware, right? Awareness is awakened consciousness. So when you become conscious of something, that's stage one. Stage two is emotional processing, right? Where we feel it, where we understand it, where we accept it. And those two can happen very, very quickly, right? Those are both more of an energetic form. The third one is always physical. This is the manifested form. So they're bringing something into manifestation or breaking down something that is already manifested. There's the biggest time delay, if we're going to use time as a reference here, between the emotional and the physical. And oftentimes, after we've done the first two, especially if it has something to do with the body, sometimes we need help clearing what was manifested. So the fact that you ended up needing a colonoscopy is very um, symbolistic of that energy, right? You needed assistance in clearing the manifested form. I want to give that as a form of validation for you, but also as a teaching moment for those that are interested in that. So let me tap into you because sometimes where we feel it is actually more of a mirror effect than where it actually exists. Okay. Okay, so we're actually going to clear this right now. One, there's a theme running along with everybody's messages. You have throat chakra blockage as well, Brandon. There is something that you need to emotionally express, and that's why this little piece of energy hasn't cleared. There's something that you need to verbalize. There's something you need to speak, and it's teetering on you. You have this knowing deep inside of you that there's something that you haven't expressed or said or been truthful about. You haven't purified it. You haven't given it expression. And I think part of the reason is why is because you don't know how to articulate it in a way that isn't coming from a wounded place. Because I know you and I know that you know the difference. So that there is something there. And I also don't feel like you feel like you do have, though. I don't feel like you feel like you have clarity on how to bring that through, but it is there. Okay. Um, but as I see it in my third eye, I see it almost like a thorn. And I chuckle because they're showing it almost like like a plug, the pointy side in. And when we pull this and clear it, and I am going to do a little bit of a language of light, and we pull this out, it's kind of going to uncork you. And so over the next 3 to 7 days, there may be some energy that comes up and some emotion that you may need to process. You might even have some physical things that process. And you're going to reach an opportunity once again to speak that and give it vocalness and really bring yourself into reconciliation on this. So let's go ahead and get started. So I want you to just take a couple of deep breaths. Drop your shoulders. Relax your body. Otake ine isu utake ala ishnok at esnik ni ushna ala ikni ushna asu uta aka ishne unu uko usena ala ka ishna. Otako ala ike ine ishne uno asa ala ike ishne ushna kana ala ishna uka ala ine ala ushna ka ala ashne uk ashna ka ala. Oh, there we go. Ushna, 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 ushna. Sorry. Ushna, ushna. Actually a lot more in here than I thought. Ata ikinishno odo ushnakana ishne una ala snakene ine ushno. We're going to bring the beautiful diamond ray technology in to really purify this area and bring lots of clarity in. Whoosh, you may feel a coolness. Whoosh na ine suno ata ine ishna ala ine isnikene ine ashno ona ata kene ine ishno o tane kene ya ona kene ashno o kene ine asa okana ala ada kene ona oka ana ala ashno oshne deep breath. Do it again. Mm. Okay. Well, we energetically cleared. It was really interesting because when I was doing the language of light and I pulled the plug that looked like a thorn, um, all of a sudden I got this flow of dark matter, this dark energy. And because it was more in a fluid state, it looked like I don't know, it's hard. It's really like just dirty water coming into pure, clean water. And so we were trying to keep it funneled, and then we brought the diamond ray in to really purify it and bring it up into the heart and really connect it so it can be literally purifying. And so again, that's why they probably said in the beginning, like you may have some emotional stuff come up over the next 3 to 7 days. You may have some physical things, maybe you have to clear it or empty yourself out or things like that, right? So really be in tune with your body, how your body feels, what your body needs. Be there for yourself, accept the emotions. The moment that you have them and they're the most intense, if you can be with them in that moment, you have the highest rate of bringing them into reconciliation. So let me know how that felt, Brandon, um, and come back and keep us posted. Whew. You're so welcome. Okay, let's see who else I'm drawn to. After the first of the year, you're coming back to the membership, Meredith? I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know you were in it. But I would love for you to come back. For those who don't know, I have a YouTube membership. I have actually not been in there yet this month. I will be. But one of the cool thing is that I brought in a couple of months ago was I do a support post every month. So I post a picture in the community thread of YouTube for those that are members, and it's only like $9.99 a month. But you're able to ask a question or seek guidance, or if you're struggling with something, and it gives the guide something to channel on. Because I've said it before and I'll say it again. Sometimes I have messages that are just, I got to bring it forth. And a lot of other times it's like nothing. I don't have anything to say. There's nothing there. And so if you have questions, the guides will happily channel on it. So that's one of the benefits of being in there is for $10 a month, right? You get like, you can get support. Mm. Okay, Polly says she shared. Let me see if it shows. Let me see if it shows you're shared. It's supposed to show me if there's, if you're, it should say shared next to your name. Make sure that you're sharing publicly. I don't see it showing as shared. So we'll come back to you. Make sure that you guys share publicly and then comment that you did share. Because if it's not public, it won't show up as shared on my feed anyway. And then ask your question or guidance. Oh, Renee Hess, it's not odds. It's just synchronicity, honey. You're just meant to be here. Thank you. It's good to see you. I'm happy that you're here. I am good. Thank you for asking. Brandon says, I previously sensed a thorn in my side. Isn't that so weird how we kind of have that visual? Maybe having trouble processing emotions related to my brother. Well, you're going to know for sure here shortly because we uncorked it. We uncorked it. Okay, who did I say I was going to go to? Uh, Tina. Tina. We're going to go to you, Tina. Okay. So, oh, okay. Never mind. I was corrected by spirit with something. It doesn't mean we're still going to go through it with you. Okay. Tina, Tina, Tina. Are you here? If you are, give me some hearts. Show me that you're here. Okay, perfect. Um, by you asking, or your husband, please, I'm gonna go when your husband's passed away, yes? Your husband has crossed over. When I tapped into your energy, that I felt your heart immediately, but I had this weird flush of sensation down my right leg. You know that feeling like when your foot falls asleep or your leg falls asleep and it's that warm, sandy, tingly feeling, but it wasn't constant. It was just like this flush. It was like this flush of energy. Um, um, I don't know what song that is. I'm hearing a song in my head by the group. I'm going to age myself right now. Changing Faces, I believe. It was an R&B female group back in the 90s. Um, he said, "Isn't she beautiful?" He likes to stroke your hair. He likes to play with your hair. He likes to rub. Okay. That's the sensation I felt in your legs. He likes to rub your leg. He likes to stroke your hair. And we don't think as humans that they can do that. It's not the same physical sensation as we get when we're human. But when their energy touches ours in certain places, we have a sensation in our body and we feel it. And so the song that I'm hearing is Stroke You Up by Changing Bases. But as I was listening, he was saying that he likes to stroke your hair and he likes to stroke your leg, and he's saying that he makes me feel like I feel like you're aware of it, but not all of the time. But I feel like it almost soothes your nervous system when you are having anxiety or anxious thoughts. I do feel a little grief still in your heart, but I feel like you have done a tremendous job healing your grief, and are really very now a lot of us here, if you're here, you are on the spiritual path and you know that life, we don't actually die, we just change form. But even I struggle with that on the human part of me, but I feel like you have a really good grasp of that. And I feel like of course you miss him, um, but like he's there. Tanya Lee, he's there. he just thinks that you are so beautiful and that you have the most beautiful soul. And he wants you to know that you're doing an amazing job, that he's always with you. He's always with you. And to just be more present to him touching your leg and touching your hair. Um, and he says something about a doorbell. Does your doorbell go off, or um, do you get some type of bells? Like, I feel like he plays with bells. So Tina, if you can give me feedback on that, I would really appreciate it. Um, but he doesn't have much else to say to you. I mean, he just loves you and thinks you. He's. I've never had someone tell me that, but he's like, she just has the most beautiful soul, and it just shines through you. And he just is so proud of you and thinks that you're doing an amazing job. And he just loves you. He just loves you. You don't have any. Well, I, pay more attention to that, because I think that he's doing this. So I feel like it's for me, the image that I see is a doorbell. So it doesn't necessarily mean, they give me metaphors a lot of the time, so it doesn't necessarily mean it is a doorbell, but I feel like his his way of getting your attention is bells. So whether maybe it's on the TV or you hear it when you're out, pay attention to bells. So if you hear bells, tune in to what you're thinking, to what you're feeling. If he was on your mind, if you were communicating with him, pay more attention to that, because I think you might be a little bit pleasantly surprised. I feel like that's the way of him trying to get your attention. Is there something particular that you want to ask him or that you want to know? He definitely communicates through you through music too. Like if you're having a hard time or something and you turn on the radio, or you shuffle your playlist and you get a certain song and it kind of opens your heart and you start to cry, or you get emotional, or you just feel that emotional connection. I heard the quote from an old black and white Christmas tree: every time you hear a bell rings, an angel gets his wings. Just that he knows you love him. He always hears you. He always hears you. There's never a time he does not hear you. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, music. Good. Well, I'm glad I was able to connect that. Uh, Mediumship always brings through uh, interesting energies. He really, really, really loves you. He really loves you. I feel like I feel like you guys had a very special relationship, a very special connection, and that doesn't he said that doesn't break because he's not physical. It defies time and space. It really does. So I'm so glad we were able to facilitate that for you. Okay, how long have we been on? Let's see if we can get some more. We'll go as long as my energy allows. Let me go back up. Did I miss somebody? Sandy, can you please put your last name? Hi, Cindy. Good to see you here. Thank you for sharing, Meredith. Funny you said synchronicity. I actually had that thought, but my brain is still sleeping. Renee, actually not. And then when I first started doing energy readings, what, 7 years ago, 6, 7 years ago, when I was still new to reading energy, like professionally, I used to get drained. But the wider the bigger your container is, and the more you strengthen that container, meaning the higher the frequency or that you can hold and sustain for a longer period of time, as long as you're channeling it through your heart, you won't get drained. You won't get drained. I do get tired, but I will reach a point where my guides are like, okay, we're done. And they just kind of shut me off, just so that I can, um, I don't, use everything on one thing. But I'm pretty good at knowing my limits. But in the beginning, whew, half an hour, I would be done. I'd be Because when you're first learning to do it, you're strengthening your capacity to hold space. That's what you're doing. You're holding space for spirit. You're holding space to receive the messages. So whenever I do a reading, I move my energy out, and that energy kind of takes over. And so I'm literally a vessel and holding space. So what gets tired is my body. My body gets tired. It's Abby, Sandy Abby, Abby. I'm probably missing. They know. I'm probably butchering it, and I'm so sorry. Okay, let me see. Did you share, Sandy? You did. Perfect. Okay, let me go back. What did you ask? So, Sandy, when I connect to your energy, um, I can really feel your solar plexus. I can really feel this disempowered energy. Um, it almost feels like this desperation, like you're really trying really hard to change things in your life. So the out oh, spirit. The outcome of We're not going to tell you yes or no if you're going to get the job, because it's very much dependent upon your energy. And we have to be reminded of this, that we are always having a co-creative collaborative experience in creating our reality, and our energy is always going to be the dominant force in that, right? It's not spirit, it's always us. We're always the dominant force in the co-collaborative creative, that's a tongue twister, uh, energy that in this life. And what they're reminding me of, and is telling me that the consciousness in itself, like your subconscious, the whole, no, okay, rephrase then. Consciousness in itself, right? Spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, is like a genie in a bottle. So if you want something, you will have the experience of wanting it. If you say, I have, then you will have the experience of having it. Now, there is a this and that in this. So it does not necessarily mean it will be that particular experience that you are expecting, but you will have what you are saying that you already have. Does it, I hope you're following that. So they want you to really sit with, they do agree that that where you are um, is not the best energy for you. Where you currently are is not the best energy for you. You could really benefit from strengthening your boundaries. That would be very helpful in any situation that you are in. Again, in that boundaries, in case you missed it earlier, boundaries is really your values, your virtues, knowing who you are, what your standards are, and leading by that and using it as an empowerment. And that's why we feel that disempowerment in your solar plexus, because it's, you really have to be like, no, this is who I am. This is my worth. This is what I will, the only standard of that I will tolerate. This is it. This is how I expect to be treated. This is the kind of environment that I know I will have, and the only thing I will accept. It's this solidarity in that energy. And so they're asking you to really sit with the company that you're speaking of, and any other company that you're considering, right? After you go, especially after you go for an interview and you're able to really tune into the person's energy, the collective energy of the company itself, and really ask yourself, is this position a clear representation of who I am or who I want to be? Because it is in your solidarity of that you change your reality. And this is actually, this is it's interesting way they're saying it right now, but this is actually a guidance I received a couple of days ago, uh, last week actually. And what they said is, especially for people who have inner conflict, and I'm going to share this because I think it applies. But when you're needing to make a decision, you need to ask yourself, which decision is a clear representation of either who I am or who I want to be? Because we always think that we are saying what's in the highest and best for me, but highest and best is you playing it safe. When people say what's in the highest and best, they're playing it safe. They're saying which choice, which decision is going to cause me the least pain, is going to be the one that's going to bring me the most joy, is going to be the one that's the easiest. It's a caution. Instead of us choosing what we want and being empowered and realizing that what's in the highest and best is always going to be what ignites us, what lights us up, what makes us feel good, because that's what we're here to do. This is a feeling planet. We're here to feel and follow the feeling. So, Spirit is saying that the best opportunity for you in what you're seeking is going to be matching your standards, matching what it is that you most need to see and needs to be reflected back to you. So you're the one who's choosing this experience. And they also say that, remember, that rejection is redirection. So don't get your hopes up if this door closes, and because you'll just know, like, celebrate that and be like, okay, that means something better, right? That means that this wasn't matching my potential. It wasn't matching my potential. It's horrible. Yeah. Looking better, okay, looking better than what you currently have, but that's good to know. I really want to clarify this here for you. That's good to know, right? It's better than where you are. Sometimes we just need to take that step. But is it a clear representation of who you are and how you want to be treated? Is it a clear representation of being valued, of your value? Does it match who you are? Because I get this feeling with you that you settle because you don't have this belief in you. You kind of water down or wash down what you bring to the table. So if you can get really honest with yourself about what you bring to the table and how and what you value, and when you are seeking jobs, even if it's this one, so even with your saying, even in your current position, right? If you can change that energy inside of you, the environment around you will also change. It may take a minute to catch up, but once you change inside of you, the reflection changes, right? Everything and everyone is a mirror. And sometimes that it means that there's a disconnect and you end up, going somewhere else or, it not working out, but it's because that's no longer a match. So if they are unable to mirror back the change inside of you, you will have to be redirected to a matching energy. So we really want you to sit with that there because I feel like the job you applied for is still not up to your potential. I feel like you're still settling. You feel like settling because you've been putting up with that job bad for a bad job for a month. Yeah. So don't settle out of desperation. Instead, decide to have discern that energy and to hold good boundaries, right? Really use this as an opportunity while you're still there to strengthen your boundaries. So when somebody or something around you and that energy creates that feeling inside of you that you're not enough, that there's something wrong with you, that this is toxic, where you can instead be the observer of it and you can say that is them and that really sucks and I can have compassion for them, but that's not me and that's not because of me, and I'm going to stand here in my joy, in my power, and really hold that and be that light no matter what. It's not an easy thing to do. It's something you have to practice, right? So we really want you to start there. Don't settle for desperation. Even if you do get this next job or this job that you applied for, again, use it as a stepping stone because you need to step into your full potential. You really need to step into your power. You have a lot to bring to the table. You bring a lot to the table. So if you can honor that, you will be honored in that. I feel less than there. They don't value me, I think. But that's a reflection of you not valuing you. If you're willing to settle, then you're not valuing yourself. Do you see what we're saying here? This is why it starts with you, honey. You have to start with you, right? So it's not as cut and dry as am I going to get the job? It's more of is that truly what you want? Is that truly what you want? Because you're still settling. You're still not valuing yourself. You're still not valuing yourself. So sit with that. Really sit with that. I know it's not the answer that you're seeking, but it's the answer that you're needing. Ooh, I feel the next job interviews. I feel a little bit better on the next job interview. I feel like I feel like that one has a little bit closer to your value. So sit with that, okay? I hope that helps. All right, where are we at? I still have pretty good energy, so let me see if we can get another one in. If you're just joining, please follow the pinned comment. You will need to share publicly, comment that you shared, and what you are seeking guidance or um, your question around. Oh, Renee, you get really hungry. It might be to ground you. Next time you get really hungry, go outside and put your feet. You don't need to earth, but sit on the floor or get super present. Um, do some qigong or do something that brings you really present and ground yourself first, and then see if you're still hungry. You may need to just, you may need to fuel up too, but I would test that and see if you're just trying to ground, because oftentimes we ground with food. That's what used to happen to me anyway. Hello, Billy Ann. Okay, let me go back up and see if I missed anyone. Teresa White. Teresa White, did you have a question? Again, if you want a reading, you need to share publicly, comment that you shared, and what your question or guidance, what your question is, or what your guidance around is what you're seeking. So put that in. Oh, you need to gain weight? Well, shoot, eat up then, sister. Billy Ann, anybody who is putting your share, you need to post your question or what you want guidance around. Is it Joni? Are you looking for mediumship? Because you put your brother and then you put your son. So are you looking for mediumship? I can't always guarantee who's going to come through. Mediumship doesn't always work that way because spirit doesn't work that way. It's not showing me that you shared. Did you share publicly? And all of you who have commented shared, it will show me on Facebook, if you're on Facebook, it will show me if you shared. It will give me a little marker. But please also put what you want, either your question or what you want guidance around. Okay. All right, Joni, let's tune into you and see who wants to come through. Thank you, Barbara. I appreciate you. Okay, Joni. Joni, just take a couple of deep breaths with me because I can feel you are pretty anxious. Deep in through the nose, slow out the mouth. I can feel the back of your heart is very, very much closed and tight. I don't know if you end up feeling like you have a lot of back pain or a lot of tightness in the middle of your back, right where your bra line is. Let me see if I can clear this a little bit. Excuse me. Okay, so was your son a teenager when he crossed, or would he be a teenager? For mediumship, you have to be very interactive with me, please. And did he have like sandy blonde hair or dirty blonde hair? He was 19. Would he be a teenager now? How old is he? How old would he be now? He would be a teenager now. Okay. Okay, for those of you, if you guys can to just give Joni and I some space on the comments for a moment, that way I can isolate her comments. So just to be clear, Joni, he would be 3 now or he would be a teenager now? Because I'm trying to discern the fact that he gave me the 19, but maybe he meant 19 months instead of 19 years. I'm trying to. Oh, this is one of those people. What do they call them? Trolls. Let me get rid of that. He would he would be 3. He passed at 19 months. Okay, so that's the 19 he was giving me was 19 months. Did he have sandy blonde hair or dishwater blonde hair? So mediumship is always going to come more in a different form. So the way that he comes to me now, so I need to be very clear here. Spirit always comes to me in the form and the energy that they most want to be seen or heard, and what they feel they're best at. So not only did he give me um the teen number, but he's coming to me as a teen, not as a 3-year-old. And he has sandy blonde hair. He, hmm, so there's not the sometimes they give me information, I just feel a call to educate around it. So you ever hear people say someone's an old soul? Okay, that's not really a thing. Nobody's really an old soul. Um, but what I can say is he came in with an extraordinary amount of wisdom. He came in with an extraordinary amount of wisdom. The children that were born after certain time frames, um, like the children born after 2012 and beyond, and the children born from 2020 and beyond, again, will hold a different energy as well. But they are more crystalline in nature. So, crystalline represents our wisdom, means they had less density to clear. Uh, I just feel like he he just makes me feel like he just put so much together and was able to understand things far beyond his human age, if that makes sense. Are you still holding on to something of his, like a baby blanket or something that would have been in his crib or his bed? Great. So that's validation, that he knows, and that he sees that. So that we bring things like this just to validate that they are still with us, and that again that we don't die, that we just change form. Um, he makes me feel as if you cry at night. That night is the hardest for you, and he wants you to know that he's okay. Like he's healthy, he's happy, he's with you. And you do you feel responsible for something? Do you feel that you could have done something to change this? Are you like holding yourself accountable or responsible or punishing yourself? Because I can feel this weight on your shoulders as I'm sitting here rubbing my shoulder. I'm like, why am I rubbing my shoulder? I can feel this weight on you. And I feel like that's also why the back of your heart is so closed and tight because you you don't want to let go because you're just punishing yourself. He wants you, there's nothing, there's you bear you, this is not your fault. You can let this go. This is a hard thing to say to people who are grieving because I know the first time Spirit told me this, I was a little angry. We choose when we exit. We choose when we die. We have a set exit date that we choose when we incarnate. Along the way, we have off ramps, opportunities for us to exit the game early if we choose. Oftentimes, when we do, it creates opportunities for you to heal something that you chose to heal. It was his choice to go, and it wasn't because he didn't love you or choose you or want to be with you. It has nothing to do with that. His time was short but potent. And again, I feel like he came in with a level of wisdom that most don't reach until their their late teens, early adulthood. Like he just had, I don't know, it's almost like the way he looked at you, the way he interacted with things around you and the world, it was like you knew. And that's why a lot of times people say when they have children like that, like, I feel like you're an old soul. It's not that that's not a real thing, old souls. It's just the amount of wisdom that he retained on incarnation. And you can continue to communicate with him and feel him, but you no longer have to bear the burden of him exiting and him choosing to leave. Is not your burden to carry. There's nothing you need to punish yourself for. He really wants to see you smile again and not feel bad about smiling, to laugh and not stop yourself because you should be grieving or you should be in pain or that it's not okay to go on and live. And I know that this is still fairly new, and grieving is a thing that literally on the human part of us has no timeline. So please don't punish yourself. Don't beat yourself up if you're not able to do this right away, but give yourself some grace. Give yourself some love. Know that he loves you. He knows that you love him. And we just want you to just like, he just wants to like, he just comes across so much older than he would be right now. And he just wants to like hug you and just squeeze you and release the pressure from the back of your heart and just let you let go and take a deep breath and exhale all that pain that you've been carrying. And every time you think of him, every time you hold something of his, he's with you. He knows. He knows. So I hope that brings you some peace. He's okay, and you are not to blame. And I'm sending you so much love, so much love. Okay, we're gonna do one more, and we're gonna call it a day. But I want you guys to know this. I really feel called to really just kind of show up and do random things for the at least the remainder of the month as much as I can. But I'm going to try to spread it out over different platforms. So when I'm on Facebook, I can also be on YouTube, but I'm also going to go on TikTok. I'm also going to go on Instagram. So make sure that you follow all of my platforms. Sometimes we'll do free readings, sometimes we'll do just cosmic conversations and channeled chats. Sometimes we'll do donation readings, sometimes we'll just do mediumship. So really just kind of plug into all my platforms and have me on notification. The sun is getting really bright. See if I can do that. There we go. Um, well, I need to pick a better location where I'm not blinded. So just be tuned in. Let me see if I can do something here. Plugged into all of my platforms if you want to catch me. So we're going to go to Meredith. So Meredith, you are going through um, a heart chakra upgrade. You are being expanded right now. And so when we do an expansion, when there's an expansion happening, it is expanding our capacity to hold a higher frequency. It is expanding our capacity to hold more amount, more light, which is information, that is moving, frequency at a high is the rate of speed, right, of information. So you're being upgraded to be able to hold higher frequencies, which is more information, um, for longer, like to sustain it longer periods of time. And when that happens, there's going to be things that need to be cleared up that are taking up space, um, in your energy. And some of those things have been manifested in your physical body. So, what is happening with your hips? Number one, I feel like there's something happening with your hips. I don't know where your pain is. Blinded by light, yes. You're so welcome, Joni. Yeah, anyone, I should have said that in the beginning. There's so much to be gained from listening to these readings, even if you didn't get one. So listening to a replay of readings, if you are guided to it, or it's always beneficial because they always try to. I'm always drawn to people who are going to speak to the majority of the collective. Meredith, are you still here? Let's see if she's still here because we're going to need her participation in this. Can someone tag Meredith? See if she's still here. And the delay, I might have a, there she is. Veins compressed in my, okay, in the hips. Well, at least we got your hips right. Okay. Um, yeah, we got her. Thank you, Barbara. Um, so I don't know what care you're doing or who you're being cared for. I do feel like physical therapy is probably something that um, you're either considering or are working with. The thing that I keep hearing is hip flexors. Your hips feel a little bit out of alignment. So I feel like your hips are a little bit out of alignment, and they're also showing a pelvic tilt. So it's like your hips are a little off, but it's also some type of tilt happening, which is also disrupting your spinal alignment. So that's why we feel like there's going to be some type of are my comments not sitting? What? They're coming in now. Showing. Yeah. No, you're coming in now near the hips. Um, there's just a delay. That's all. The delays, they stink, but we're good. Um, that's what I'm seeing when I look at your energetic blueprint, and what they're showing me is, again, your hips are a little bit off, and there's a little bit of a tilt, and that's also disrupting your spine. And so it's all of our nervous system, our wiring, if we want to call them that, our nerves, our veins, all of those pathways, they all kind of intersect in that area where all of those pieces come together, the spine, the hips, all of those, it's like a main junction, right? And so when those things are when we have when we're physically out of line, we're going to be energetically out of line, and it's going to create this disruption in our system, right? That's why to be that, the triangle, right? Mind, body, soul. It's always to be in harmony, to be in balance, we need to have congruence in all things. So if you fix something physically, then the emotional and mental always have to come into play. If you have a mental and emotional awareness, the physical always has to, there is going to be a physical delay. Um, so I think you are in good care, but they're showing me you doing, and I don't know what this means, so do some research. Hip flexor exercises if you're able to. But there's definitely some physical realignment that needs to happen on your vessel in order to really get things, the pathways, your veins, everything moving again. Um, and so make sure that, this is interesting, make sure that you are heard wherever you are, wherever you're going, whatever you're working with, make sure you are heard. So oftentimes we go to a doctor, chiropractor, physical therapist, and sometimes, not all the time, but a lot of times they have egos, they think they know what they're doing. But when our body tells us differently, when our intuition or our body says this is not it, or this doesn't feel good, or this isn't making it better, make sure you are heard, is what I'm hearing. Make sure you are heard. Um, because they are working with a body and they're not able to, especially with these types of alignments, these things don't always, um, show up on CT scans, MRIs, X-rays. They don't always show up exactly how they need to. And so this is why there needs to be manipulation of the body. And you will know, it's almost like you will feel an automatic rush of flow of energy, like, oh my God, like I have instant relief. So really be in tune with your physical body. Like you learning to read your body is going to be a major lesson for you in this life and what in this experience. So really getting in tune with your energy. And I also feel that when there is a physical realignment that happens and your energy starts to flow, there's going to be a lot of things in your life that are going to need to change, if that makes sense. Because when you're out of alignment, your reality is kind of, you've created and brought things in that really aren't in alignment for you. So when you bring yourself back into alignment, you kind of get out of that flow and things start to fall away. Don't grab onto the things that want to fall away. Those things were created by you for you when you were out of alignment. Does that make sense? Do you follow what we're saying? Perfect. Good. So listen to your body over anything else. Spend some time getting really in tune with your body and communicating with your body and asking your body, like, what do you need from me to support? So there's things that can help in the interim while you're getting things out of alignment, like a sauna, like this thing you see in the background, that's my sauna, right? That's a pop-up sauna. Sauna, you can go to a sauna. Um, what else? Laying down on the floor, putting your legs up on the wall, bringing fresh energy and blood down into your hips and resetting your nervous system. Again, sitting on pillows or cushions that are aligned to open the hips when you sit and really open up that sacrum area and allow for pressure to be relieved off of your veins and your nerves. These are all things you can do to help yourself while you're getting realignment because it's not going to be just one adjustment. There's going to be some things that need to be manipulated. Yeah, good. Well, thank you for validating that. So I hope that helps. But yeah, they really wanted to add that last piece in the end. So when things get moving again, when things get moving again and flowing and everything gets in realignment, there's going to be some stuff that falls away. Don't try to grab onto it. That's our human nature that goes, oh my God, what's happening? Let me grab on. Don't grab on. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Perfect. Okay, my loves. I so appreciate you guys hopping on. I hope you enjoyed today. I hope you spend some time just really being present with your energy. And thank you guys for all who shared. And like I said, I will be showing up either here or in other places on different platforms all throughout the month, doing a variety of things. So plug into those areas and let's get back together again because it's been a while since I've really just spent some time doing this. So I'm excited to do it. Um, and I love you guys for showing up. So I will see you guys next time. Bye for now.